What's up, fam? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Phil Sarpong. This is Phil's Guide to PsyD. This channel is dedicated to all things clinical psychology. If you are interested in psychology, if you care about self-care, or if you want a little bit of a sneak preview into what grad school might look like for you, then this is the channel for you. So today we're going to be talking about a very important question, and that is the question of how to be memorable in your clinical psychology interview for grad school. So I'm gonna give you guys 3 tips in terms of how to be memorable in your clinical psychology interview. So without further ado, let's get this video started. Alright guys, so for these 3 tips, I hope you do stay till the end of this video because tip number 3 is a very important tip. In my opinion, I think it's the best tip in terms of how to be memorable. But now tip number 1 are things that you guys already know about. These are things like being dressed for the occasion, asking really good questions, allowing your personality to flow in the interviews. Don't worry about being so anxious or stressed. I know that's easier said than done, but really just trying to be yourself and to do your best. And honestly, that is a great way to be memorable because it helps other people realize how serious you are about the interview, how serious you are about the school, and of course your career. So that is the overall basis for tip number 1. Now, tip number 2 is gonna be a little bit more practical. Now, this is a tip that I didn't see a lot of people do, but I do think it made a difference. And that tip is having a folder, having a professional folder. Now, what I have is something I got from Target. I mean, honestly, professional folders look like a number of different things. But the reason that I had a folder is that when you go into these interviews, they give you a lot of papers, they give you a lot of flyers, they might give you a schedule for the day. And honestly, it's a hassle to carry all these papers around and your notes and all this other stuff. So I had a folder where when they gave me these papers, I could just basically stick them in my folder. I kept it organized. Now, in this folder as well, it has a notes section. And I think here is where you can start to be really memorable. For me, during my interviews, as I was going through the day, I would take notes about different professors, you know, a professor or a faculty member that said their name. I wanted to remember their name, so I would write their name down. If students at the school passed out information about their phone number or their email for contact, I would write that down. For things that the school would say in terms of their presentations, I would write that down. So I was constantly taking notes, and I think this actually did help me to be memorable because there wasn't a lot of people that were taking notes at my interview. And so I think for the faculty members, from that standpoint, it shows that the student is interested. It shows that the potential candidate is wanting to know more about the school, is wanting to learn about the school. I would also write questions in my notes section as well to ask certain people. And honestly, it was great because overall, it just looked very professional. I didn't carry around this backpack with me or tons and tons of folders. You know, I just carried this thing around with me as I walked to my interviews and as I walked to help people and talk to people and stuff like that. And so I think overall it looked professional, and I think from the standpoint from the faculty members, it looked like I was genuinely interested in the school and wanting to learn more. Again, this is one of those things where a lot of people didn't do this, so I do think that it made an impact. Now, for the 3rd and last tip, which I think, again, this is the most important tip, and this is something, again, that I feel like people do not do. I do think in the past people did this a lot, but I think it's kind of just weighing down as time has gone on, and that is writing thank you notes. Now, this may seem so simple, but I do think it goes a long ways. And some people will argue that, you know, writing an email thank you note is better than writing like an actual carded thank you note. But here's how I went about this, guys. Now, writing email thank you notes are great too. You know, I know a lot of students that waited a couple days, and for the people that interviewed them, they would write them an email saying how much they basically thanked them for the opportunity, for the consideration. And here's the thing about thank you letters or thank you emails and all this other stuff is that honestly, if you had a good conversation either with a current student at the program or a faculty member or a professor, you want to remember that. You want to remember what you guys talked about. Like if you guys connected on being from the same state or going to the same college or having the same career goals or the career interest or whatever, you want to remember that. And that's what's great about having a folder, is that you can write some of the things that you talk about with other people. But in these thank you letters or these thank you emails, bringing in the conversation that you have with people to make sure that they know, or basically make sure that they remember you, right? I think is so important because number one, it shows that not only were you thinking about them, but it also shows that you remembered the conversation that you had with them and that it went a long ways for you. And this works for virtual interviews as well. If you're not in person and you write a thank you email, that works just as well because it shows how much you care, how much you appreciate the interview and appreciated their time. And that will also stand out as being memorable. Like I said, not a lot of students are doing this. So if you're one of the few ones that do this, this will have a memorable memory for these faculty members as they're going through the students. I have a preference for thank you cards. I really do think that thank you cards go a long ways. And now, here's the thing, and this is basically what I did for my interview. If I had a great interview with one of the faculty members, a good conversation with one of the professors, I would find some time throughout the day, go into the bathroom, have a pen, have a pencil, have the card, and remember the conversation that I had with them. It doesn't have to be long, it doesn't have to be a paragraph. Some of them were like 2 or 3 sentences, but basically just thanking them, letting them know that I appreciate the time and putting down some of the things that we talked about in the interview or in my discussion or in my conversation with them. Now, here's the thing. So towards the end of the interview experience, when the dean is basically thanking everybody for the time and it's towards the end of the day, before I would say my goodbyes, you know how you'd say your goodbyes to the faculty members or the professors, you might shake their hand, you might thank them. I would handshake goodbyes some of the faculty members that interviewed me, and I would just pass them a card. I would just pass them a thank you card, like saying, hey, I just wanted to write you a thank you card for the interview that we had, and I really appreciated the time, and I had a memorable experience, and I would just give them the card, and that was it. And if you don't see them at the end of the day, that's okay too. You can still write them an email saying how much you appreciate their time and sort of a thank you format through email. That's perfectly okay as well. Now, again, I don't think a lot of students did this, and I do think that this helped me to be more memorable from all the other applicants. And showing your appreciation and the consideration that they have for you to spend the time with you on that particular interview day. All right, so if this video helped at all, definitely give it a thumbs up, guys. If you guys have any other things that you did in your interview that you felt like were just as memorable, definitely put it down in the comment section below. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that would love to read that, and I myself would be interested in seeing what other people did for their interviews to make them look memorable as well. So with that, guys, I will see you guys in the next video.